right, let's get straight to Donald Trump. Everybody was hanging around TVs here last hour watching him anyway, proving his loyalty, he would tell you, and signing that GOP pledge. Here's what he said.
The best way for the Republicans to win is if I win the nomination and go directly against whoever they happen to put up. And for that reason, I have signed the pledge.
Yeah. There you have it. After months of speculation, his popularity, of course, has been rising in the polls. Even the most recent poll out today, there was speculation that he would not sign a pledge like this after he rose his hand when that Bret Baier question in the Fox News debate. But he goes ahead with it anyway. He's not going to run, he says, as a third-party candidate. So let's bring Christy Setzer in right off the top here, Democratic strategist, founder and president of New Heights Communications, and also Rich Lowry, Fox News contributor, editor of the National Review. What did you make, Rich, of Trump? Any surprise in the way he handled this?
Well, I love how official that pledge looks. You can tell because it says pledge right at the top.
I know.
I guess it's a little surprising, but I think Trump just calculated his interest here. He really thinks he's going to win the nomination.
Right.
And now the other candidates will have to support him, and this removes any difficulty getting on the ballot in the early primary states that have been playing around with the idea of making some sort of loyalty pledge contingent on actually getting on the ballot. And it's a win-win because for the RNC, at least it seems to remove for now the possibility that he would be a sore loser and run as an independent and bring the party down around his head next year.
What does this mean, Christy, for the Democrats? And I do actually think there is one surprise I want to get to, at least in the tone on immigration that I want to play for you guys in a second. But what does it mean on the Democratic side? Because I know the line had been, boy, he's a gift for the Democrats. And certainly if he ran as a third-party candidate, would have elected Hillary Clinton. But what about now?
Yeah, I think he's still a gift, because I think what this shows is that we're in a very different moment than they were even a month ago when Donald Trump stood on that stage and wouldn't say that he would necessarily support the Republican nominee or certainly sign some sort of pledge like this. The difference is that he's gone from being this oddity, even a joke of a candidate who somehow happened to be in first place, to being quite likely to get the Republican nomination. I think that's a very good thing for Democrats because, of course, while he is doing what he can to excite the base and continues to get a ton of media attention, he also says things that would be extremely detrimental for his party in the long term. So, yeah.
I know the Democrats like their chances, as you articulate there, in the matchup with Hillary Clinton or whoever else might be the nominee. But I thought it was interesting the tone that Trump used. And Rich, after we play this, maybe you'll think the same, or maybe you won't. Because every time Trump comes on, it's always immigration and this and that about the Mexicans and building the wall. But these comments, when he was going about, the universities, Harvard and Stanford, and what we should do with some of these highly educated immigrants, that's a little bit different. I think the business community might respond to that, and our business audience would be interested in it. Listen first to Trump, and then we'll talk about it. Here's Donald Trump last hour.
I want people to come into our country legally. I want to have a big, fat, beautiful, open door. I want people of great talent to come in for Silicon Valley. I want engineers. I want physicists. I want people with great talent to come into the United States. When people graduate from college, you can be #1 in your class at Harvard, or #1 at Yale, or the Wharton School of Finance, or Princeton, or Stanford. And immediately, if you're not a citizen of the United States, you get thrown out of the country. We want those people to stay. We want people of great talent to be in the United States, to work here, and ultimately to become a citizen.
So don't you think, Rich, Lowry, to some extent, you were talking about how he seriously wants to win this nomination, that's part of it too, that's the caveat that had been missing from some of his other immigration rhetoric that might appeal, say, to the business community, for example?
Well, maybe, but the problem is he's just all over the map on so many policy issues, and he's talking up economic immigration there and high-skilled immigration, but his written immigration plan would crack down on H-1B visas. So
right. So he's contradicting himself. Is essentially what you're saying.
He also contradicts his written plan. His written plan says nothing about mass deportation, but he talks about that in every single interview. And this is the same guy who 4 years ago was saying Mitt Romney was much too mean-spirited and tough and alienating of Latinos by talking about self-deportation, and Trump himself is talking about actual mass deportation.
He's changed a number of times. I don't know what you, obviously, as you say, Rich, I don't know what, Christy, what you think of this, but maybe the meeting with Reince Priebus today and trying to get him into this quote-unquote mainstream of the Republican Party, getting him to sign this pledge, these types of policies, now that'll be the latest kind of incarnation of Donald Trump that we see. What do you think?
I do in some ways think that he's become a better candidate, and on some issues it sounds like he's trying to moderate. I mean, look, there's two very different battles that you need to win in order to win your party's nomination. The one Trump is quite masterful at, which is getting media attention and generating grassroots excitement within your party. The other, I think he's coming to terms with the fact that he needs to win as well, which are things like, getting on state ballots, winning superdelegates, and basically appealing to your party's grass tops, right? So by doing things like this, that's what he's trying to accomplish.
He is a pragmatist after all. Now, he's financing his own campaign, as he's the first one and the second and the third one to tell us all the time. He goes on and on about it, but he talked about that in the, I guess whatever it was, the news conference as well. So once again, Donald Trump, and then we'll talk about it. Here he is on donations.
Those people that are putting up those millions of dollars have total control over your candidate. I will tell you this. Nobody's putting up millions of dollars for me. I'm putting up my own money. In fact, I feel a little bit foolish. People are offering me millions and millions of dollars. You know, when you're in first place, you can collect so much money. And I keep turning them down.
What will he? I mean, it's just. What will he do, Rich? Though, when he really does need, or maybe he won't ever need to raise money. But say he makes the decision, as a lot of people who know him speculate he will, that he doesn't want to spend all of his own money. Is he going to go back to the hedge funds that he's bashed and say, "Hey, give me your money"? You know,
it wouldn't surprise me if he starts taking grassroots donations, and he exaggerates the influence these donors have, but it's not as though they have no influence. And what Trump said a week or so ago about carried interest, that's something, if another one of these candidates who's very dependent on hedge fund donations and other Wall Street donors would never say that in a million years, because the next time they showed up at one of their fundraising events, they would be hanged by their donors. And in that sense, Donald Trump is indeed a free man.
Right. It does give him that sense of, he's able to, and a lot of candidates aren't able to do that. He's able to say to them, hey, this is what I think, and I don't care about your money. Well, thanks anyway, Christy and Rich. It's always interesting to talk about.